Satellite and Via Satellite Magazine are pleased to present the Keynote and Awards presentation. Please welcome Satellite Executive Chairman Jeffrey Hill.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with us at Satellite 2023's Award Luncheon. In just a moment, we'll announce the winner of this year's Startup Space Entrepreneur Pitch Contest, which took place yesterday in the exhibit hall, as well as the winners of Via Satellite Magazine's Satellite Executive of the Year and Technology of the Year awards. But first, we open today's program with our Satellite 2023 Government and Military Forum keynote speaker, U.S. Department of Commerce Deputy Secretary Don Graves. We produce the core of our Government and Military Forum conference program in partnership with the Satellite Industry Association, or SIA, an organization that has been a fantastic collaborator with us for many years. The trade association is led by SIA President Tom Strout, who has been an industry champion advocating for regulatory and policy issues of critical importance to SIA's membership, including spectrum and licensing issues, defense and public safety measures, and export control and international trade issues. Please join me in welcoming Tom to the stage to provide opening remarks and a welcome to our special guest, Government and Military Forum speaker. Tom?
I'm good. How are you? That's good. It's a good day. Thank you.
Continued partnership. We really value the opportunity to participate in the programming at this show. Our keynote speaker is the Honorable Don Graves, the 19th Deputy Secretary of Commerce. Mr. Graves brings decades of experience in the private sector, government, and nonprofits to the Department of Commerce. Prior to serving as counselor to President Joe Biden during the 2020 presidential campaign, Mr. Graves served as Executive Vice President and Head of Corporate Responsibility and Community Relations at KeyBank. During the Obama-Biden administration, he served as Counselor and Domestic and Economic Policy Director for then-President Biden. He was previously appointed by President Obama as Executive Director of the President's Council on Jobs and Competitiveness and led the federal government's efforts in the economic recovery of the city of Detroit. Mr. Graves also served as Deputy Assistant Secretary for Small Business, Community Development, and Housing Policy at the U.S. Department of the Treasury. Deputy Secretary Graves has been very supportive of the Office of Space Commerce as it establishes a system to provide space situational awareness and space traffic management services. He has engaged with leaders of commercial SSA vendors to discuss the ongoing effort to build out what is being referred to as the Traffic Coordination System for Space, as well as OSC's development of the capabilities to share SSA data. With STM and SSA being so critical to the future of the satellite industry, we are very pleased to have Deputy Secretary Graves join us today. I ask the audience to join me in welcoming to the podium the Honorable Don Graves, Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Commerce.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Tom, thank you for that really kind introduction. Thank you to the Satellite 2023 team and the Satellite Industry Association for inviting me to speak today. It is really great to be at this amazing event. I think, as you all know, our job at the Department of Commerce is to improve America's competitiveness so that our companies can succeed in the global economy. We want to ensure that the United States remains the flag of choice for businesses operating in space. That means engaging with industry to support innovation, expand business opportunities, and provide the clarity, consistency, and transparency that you all need to invest and to compete. A year ago, I addressed the SIA leadership dinner, and I announced that the Commerce Department was prioritizing the commercial space industry in our new strategic plan. Today, I'm happy to report that we've made significant progress in just that 1 year. We've established a new Commercial Space Coordination Committee, which I chair. It includes the heads of nearly every commerce bureau and offers a forum to engage the whole of commerce on key space-related issues. This reflects the reality that we face in our work, that expanding space commerce isn't confined to one office, as great as that office is, Richard, or one bureau, but involves international trade. It involves economic development, broadband expansion efforts, NIST cybersecurity expertise, and even minority business outreach to expand our supplier base. So it requires us to think more broadly and to make sure that we're engaging you where you are, as opposed to having to find us and seek out that right partner. We also appointed a director to run our Office of Space Commerce, a dear friend to many of us in the room, Richard Dalbello. Richard, would you mind just standing up? I think many of you know Richard from his decades of service to industry, including several years as president of SIA. Richard also serves as the vice chair of the coordinating committee, and we meet very regularly to coordinate on a range of issues affecting the commercial space industry and identifying opportunities on how each bureau can further the space industry. As I mentioned last year, I have a very strong personal interest in space matters, and I seek to engage in this work wherever I can. The department's strategic plan on space commerce outlines 5 areas of focus. First, coordinating regulatory functions. Secondly, growing the customer base for U.S. commercial space goods and services. Third, improving the space safety and sustainability. Fourth, promoting commercial space innovation. And fifth, advancing Earth observation capabilities to empower better decision-making. If you'll bear with me, I'd like to update you on the progress across all of these strategic objectives. First, our work to coordinate regulatory functions cuts across domestic and international stakeholders, and it's designed to promote competitiveness and increase legal certainty, transparency, and consistency. These things, I think, are incredibly important for the commercial space business. Today, you all know this, private capital is funding traditional space investments such as communications, remote sensing satellites, and new business concepts such as in-space servicing, assembly, manufacturing, active debris removal, and asteroid mining, among others. These ventures don't necessarily fit under the existing regulatory framework, which creates huge new opportunities, but also challenges when it comes to federal oversight. We're working toward better coordination amongst all of the federal agencies to simplify the process for commercial space licensing for stakeholders, including incumbent corporations and startup space innovators. Commerce, we believe, is uniquely positioned to help address the situation as we lead or co-lead 3 of the 4 major regulatory processes affecting space. Through NOAA, we have the lead for licensing commercial remote sensing satellites. Through NTIA, we manage the nation's use of radio frequency spectrum along with the FCC. And through our Bureau of Industry and Security, or BIS, we regulate space export controls along with the State Department. We recently reorganized NOAA's Commercial Remote Sensing Regulatory Affairs Office as part of our effort to raise the focus of space regulation in the department. We consolidated it all into the Office of Space Commerce and elevated the office to become part of the Office of the Undersecretary of NOAA. That's raised the office's visibility and allowed it to advance its commercial agenda. My office specifically also works directly with the Office of Space Commerce, and Richard, we meet, I think, almost on a weekly basis, to ensure that it's getting the attention that it deserves at the highest levels in our department. You may recall that in 2020, NOAA rewrote its regulations on commercial remote sensing to take future innovation into account. So as a result, the majority of Earth imaging satellites needs only a simple license. And over the past year, NOAA's licensing has improved in speed and efficiency, even as we've seen an increase in the number of applications. In 2022, the average time to process a new application was 22 days, or a 20% improvement over the previous year. We're going to keep pushing and pushing to move faster because we know that you can't wait. Export control is another area where we've made huge progress recently. Due to the U.S. obligations under the Missile Technology Control Regime, or MTCR, we have policies about providing support or encouragement to foreign space launch vehicles as the technology is the same used in missile programs. Implementing these policies has often led to restrictions being applied to commercial satellites and satellite components planned for launch on space launch vehicles that we didn't support or encourage. In recognition of the growing space cooperation environment, the US government undertook a careful review of how MTCR policy was being interpreted, and today I'm happy to announce a clarification to the policy. License applications for the export of satellites and satellite components to MTCR partners will now be reviewed on a case-by-case basis, not with a presumption of denial, even if the launch vehicle is one that the US doesn't encourage. Now, that may seem like a fairly subtle distinction, but for those of you who've been denied satellite exports to certain MTCR countries due to the choice of launch vehicle, this change of interpretation will have a major implication on your business. It'll open the door to potentially hundreds of millions of dollars in new exports of US satellite and satellite components. I encourage you, if you have any questions about this, please reach out to our colleagues at BIS for details on how it may affect your license applications. So moving on to quickly to our second area of focus, we're also growing the customer base for US commercial space goods and services. Commerce's International Trade Administration works with US commercial space companies to help them win in business overseas. If you are a US company and you have not yet taken advantage of their service, I encourage you to reach out to the ITA Advocacy Center and learn what they have to offer. And I will tell you this, everywhere I go around the world, everywhere the secretary goes, the undersecretary, we are advocating for US businesses. So the more that you contact and utilize their services, the more that we're going to be able to go right to senior leadership in these countries to advocate on your behalf. Over the past year, the Advocacy Center has contributed to 7 international space contract wins with a total value of about $406 million. They're currently working on 29 cases involving the space industry with a total estimated value of almost $9 billion. Our Office of Space Commerce is also leading efforts to facilitate international space business collaboration. Just last November, as part of the inaugural US-France Comprehensive Space Dialogue that was held in Paris, the office organized a special session involving government and industry representatives from both of the nations. This Track 1.5 event focused on increasing US-France business partnerships by identifying the specific barriers that could be removed through government cooperation. That Track 1.5 event was very successful, so much so that when President Macron came to Washington for his state visit later in the month, I personally had the opportunity to brief him on this activity. In our meeting and in the industry roundtable I co-hosted with him at NASA headquarters, he took a very clear interest in increasing business between our two space industries. So based on that success, we're now planning a Track 1.5 engagement as part of the next US-Japan Comprehensive Space Dialogue. We'll be taking a delegation of American space companies with us to Tokyo next week to hold similar discussions with our Japanese counterparts from government and industry. At the US-Africa Leaders Summit in December, I also moderated a Space Forum session to discuss the private sector's role in supporting a US-Africa partnership. I believe that space technologies and space commerce aided by the US private sector can play an important role in driving technological and private sector development in Africa. We're actively planning further commercial space engagements with African nations later this year. Another aspect of our efforts is promoting the availability, security, and resilience of our space industrial base and supply chains. So as a first step last week, BIS launched an assessment of our industrial base in partnership with NASA and NOAA. BIS is now deploying a survey instrument to hundreds of US space companies and suppliers. The data that's collected will help us identify the structure and interdependencies of organizations that support NASA and NOAA systems and subsystems. So please look for those in the mail. They are on their way to you. Our third area of focus is improving space safety and sustainability. This is an absolute top priority for us. With thousands of satellites being launched each year, we know that we have to act quickly to prevent catastrophic collisions that could render Earth's orbits useless. Congress recognized that as a priority as well, and our Office of Space Commerce received a $70 million appropriation for FY 2023, which is a huge increase, as many of you know, over previous years. The majority of that funding is going into Space Situational Awareness, or SSA, the system that we've been tasked to develop under SPD3, the National Space Traffic Management Policy. Commerce is taking over responsibility to provide SSA data and services to commercial and civil space operators from the Department of Defense so that DoD can focus its resources on national security matters. The congressional funding came with a deadline of September 2024. That is not a lot of time. That will be upon us in no time for us to field the initial operating capability of our SSA system, and we're working hard to meet that deadline. Our initial capability will only provide a subset of the services we envision, but it will provide meaningful traffic safety coordination to you and to the public. We recently rebranded our system to be called TRAX, or the Traffic Coordination System for Space. So I hope you agree with us that TRAX is an improvement over the original name, the Open Architecture Data Repository. It just rolls off the tongue. To build TRAX, the Office of Space Commerce is leveraging NOAA's experience in acquiring and managing large data systems for weather observations and forecasting. We're going to partner with industry to maximize to the extent possible and minimize disruption to the existing commercial market for advanced SSA services, to minimize disruption to the existing commercial market. Input from leaders in SSA is crucial, which is why I've continued my conversations with industry on this topic. We're seeking to strike the right balance between providing too many services, which might overlap with industry, and providing too few services, which might drive users toward competing foreign SSA systems. Just last month, the Office of Space Commerce and DoD wrapped up a 2-month pilot to demonstrate the capability of U.S. commercial data and commercial analytics services to provide SSA to about 100 spacecraft. The pilot involved geospace object tracking data obtained through 5 commercial contracts, plus SSA data analysis performed under 7 additional contracts. The commercial GEO pilot appears to have been a success, providing satellite operators with spaceflight safety services compared to what they normally get from DoD. The pilot also provided valuable insights that have been incorporated into the planning for TRAX. The Office of Space Commerce is now considering options for additional pilots while the operational TRAX system is still in development. Our 4th area of focus is about promoting innovation, which is foundational to everything that we do at the Department of Commerce, and I'm sure foundational to the work that many of you do. In practice, this can take many forms, from research and development at NIST and NOAA to intellectual property protections by the Patent and Trademark Office. But one program has made notable progress in the past year, and that's NOAA's Commercial Data Program. For the past couple of years, NOAA has been buying commercial radio occultation satellite data and using it to improve operational weather forecasts. But until recently, that data could only be shared with other federal agencies and with international weather bureaus, or shared after a 24-hour delay. Beginning in January, NOAA has been obtaining this data with the most liberal distribution rights so that anyone in the world can freely access it in near real time and use it for scientific or commercial purposes. NOAA is only buying a subset of the vendor's full daily output, so the unlimited sharing doesn't prevent the company from selling its services to other customers. NOAA has also awarded contracts last summer for a pilot study in support of space weather, and they're currently reviewing other commercially available satellite data that could benefit NOAA in the future. We're also promoting commercial space innovation by expanding spectrum availability. We know that the next generation satellite systems and new space enterprises, built to service and work with those systems, are going to need spectrum to develop to their full potential. We'll do all that we can to ensure that spectrum is available both for federal and for private sector missions. The department is committed to allocating this valuable resource thoughtfully and judiciously, considering commercial sector needs while reaffirming our commitment to protect critical federal missions and our national security. To that end, NTIA just kicked off the development of a national spectrum strategy that will, we hope, create a process that can satisfy the nation's spectrum needs for the next decade. We're seeking feedback from industry, our federal agency partners, and all spectrum stakeholders. NTIA also oversees the administration's broadband deployment efforts. Innovative space-based operations are absolutely crucial to enabling connectivity for all, not just in our country, but around the world, as we've seen, especially over the last year, where billions of people still lack basic connectivity. And we've been working through the ITU to improve global connectivity. I invite all of you to continue to work with us in pursuit of innovative strategies for connecting those in the United States and around the world. Our fifth area of focus is advancing our Earth observation capabilities to empower more informed decision-making by the public and private sectors. To collect observations for weather forecasting and climate monitoring, NOAA flies the nation's fleet of operational civilian satellites. At the beginning of this year, NOAA declared its new GOES-18 satellite operational and designated it as GOES-West. GOES-West observes weather and climate conditions over the western United States, Mexico, Central America, and the Pacific Ocean. Even before becoming GOES-West, the GOES-18 proved its value, providing operational data from its Advanced Baseline Imager, or ABI, to augment GOES-17 during the 2022 hurricane season. With design improvements to the ABI loop heat pipe, GOES-18 will be a persistent eye in the sky for years to come. And just 2 days ago, NOAA and NASA announced the award of a $765 million contract to develop the next generation GXI imager for the GOES-R follow-on satellites known as GeoXO. GeoXO's advanced capabilities will help us address our changing planet and the evolving needs of NOAA's data users. NOAA and NASA are working to ensure that these critical observations are in place by the early 2030s. Over the last few years, NOAA has been reimagining what its future satellite architecture could look like. NOAA has been engaging with the community and issued study contracts to develop a more advanced and agile architecture in LEO, for space weather. We're building on-ramps for new technology and opening the door to more data purchases, ride shares, and hosted payloads. As a Pathfinder demonstration toward a potentially disaggregated LEO constellation, NOAA is developing the QuickSounder mission. QuickSounder is going to be a small satellite carrying an existing proven microwave sounder to measure vertical temperature and moisture profiles. But the instrument isn't what's important here, it's the architecture. We have to keep the architecture at the forefront of everything we do. The test of NOAA's ability to quickly react to an on-orbit need. What they're pathfinding is NOAA's ability to purchase and develop small form factor satellite buses and small launch services with a timeline of a few years rather than a decade or more. The QuickSounder mission passed its milestone 2, the authority to proceed, in December and is moving forward to launch in 3 years. To be clear, QuickSounder is one small satellite in LEO. If it's successful, then the next step is to develop a group of LEO small sats and test how that goes. Ultimately, if everything goes well, the way that we're expecting, NOAA could potentially replace large multi-instrument satellites for some of NOAA's core observations. So that may have seemed like a fire hose or maybe even a water main of information. And I didn't even get to talk about what I usually talk about these days, and that's semiconductors and the CHIPS Act. What I hope, though, that you'll take away from my remarks is that the Department of Commerce is fully engaged with our commercial space industry. We're pursuing new avenues for business, promoting innovation, and providing that regulatory clarity that I talked about, the consistency and transparency that we know will allow the U.S. to remain the flag of choice in the commercial space business. America's commercial space industry is vital to our country's continued global competitiveness, and the satellite industry is advancing new technologies, creating good-paying jobs, combating climate change, and keeping Americans and the world connected. All of us at the Department of Commerce continue to want to deepen our partnerships with you to ensure that the U.S. remains the global leader in space. So I hope that you'll continue to partner with us in the months and weeks ahead. I hope you have a great rest of Satellite 2023, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you so much, Deputy Secretary Graves, for being here with us today, and thank you to our programming partners at the Satellite Industry Association for once again putting together a fantastic government and military forum program for our guests. So we now move on to the awards portion of the luncheon, and the first award to be given today will be the winner of the 7th Annual Startup Space Entrepreneur Pitch Contest. I'm joined by our Pitch Contest Director, Rafferty Jackson of Jack Industries, and she'll be revealing the winner in just a moment. But I wanted just to explain the competition to all of you. Startup Space pits entrepreneurs from 10 global space startup companies in competition to see who can impress investors with the best 5-minute pitch. Past winners of the competition include companies such as Leo Labs, Orbit Fab, Vioma Space, and have included competitors from Astroscale, Ursa, Voyager Space, and more than 80 firms around the world. Before we announce the winner, though, I'd like to play this short video to show you some highlights from recent startup space competitions. All right, so I'd like to introduce, to reveal the winner and talk about this year's competition, our competition director, Rafferty Jackson of Jack Industries. Rafferty?
Thank you, thank you. First of all, I need to thank everybody in this room because consistently you have packed in our competition. Yesterday we had standing room only, and it was a pin drop of silence because everybody was there to support and to hear all the startups as they pitched, and I really want to thank you. I also want to remind you that each one of you is in a startup. Every single company starts with one person getting an idea, turning to the next person and saying, I got this idea, what do you think? That's where every single company starts. Satellite and Jeffrey Hill have been so supportive of welcoming startups into this ecosystem. We started out as a competition 7 years ago. There's now a startup pavilion, and I encourage all of you to go visit the pavilion. It is packed. You'll see so many great ideas. This is where we continue the legacy of space. We're bringing in young people and new ideas, a global economy. It's all happening, and we're so thankful that Satellite makes room for it. So after 7 years in a competition, I think I could say I have space flight heritage to be in that ecosystem of startups. And this year, we would love to announce our first winner ever from Canada, Jacqueline Good at Magnestar.
And now, to present the next award,
Do you want to say some words of that? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. For those I've yet to meet, my name is Jacqueline Good. I'm the founder and CEO of Magnestar. When we founded this company, we were going out and connecting with as many satellite operators as possible to understand some of the largest issues facing the space sector today. And what we heard over and over again was signal interference. I think that the past presentation just actually amplified that as well, that with signal interference and spectrum issues coming arise with the growth of the space sector, having the evolution in technology to support that is really necessary for our entire sector to survive. We heard stories from outages that occurred where they would lose satellite connectivity and they wouldn't be able to get money out of ATMs, they wouldn't be able to get groceries, wouldn't be able to get gas out of gas stations. The services that we provide as satellite services are critical, especially for folks living in northern communities. Here at Magnestar, we're building a clearinghouse to ensure and maintain high connectivity for all satellite operators through contested and congested environments. This means that within the clearinghouse technology, if you take an image of Earth and you need to downlink that image within 30 minutes, we will be able to assess whether or not you will be interfered with or have a clear path of connectivity. It means that if you're a communication operator and you have to maintain 97% uptimes, we will be able to make sure that those 5 to 10 second outages on an ongoing basis will not impact your revenue or customer churn. And it means that if you are in the military or allocating spectrum and you need to be able to decipher which spectrum to use at a given instance, we can make those decisions within seconds. That is what we are working towards here at Magnistar. I'm so thrilled to be part of this community. In my own personal story, I grew up playing the most competitive hockey in Quebec. Those who are aware of Quebec hockey, this is like hockey nation. Some of the things that we learned on the ice was that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, that your teammates are the backbone of everything that you do, and that whenever you're going and putting yourself on that ice, you want to make sure you're giving it all for that shift, 100% of the time, 110%, over and over and over again. We support our teammates, we ensure consistent connectivity, we are building this for the space sector, and we would encourage you all to come check us out at the Startup Pavilion downstairs as we are onboarding customers today and conducting demonstration sessions with our technical team. So please join me in thanking all the other participants who participated in this award. Thank you to the team here on stage with me today. I so appreciate all the support, and thank you to all the folks in the audience who, when I cold emailed you or messaged you on LinkedIn asking for an intro conversation, for saying yes, because you have contributed to this today as well. Thank you so much.
And now, to present the next award, Senior Editorial Director via Satellite, Mark Holmes.
Hello, everybody. You doing good? Having a good satellite? Excellent. Well, hello and welcome again to our eagerly anticipated awards lunch, where we recognize and celebrate the new and the great of the satellite industry. The lunch is always one of the highlights of satellite, and this year it will be no different as we announce the winners of our Satellite Executive of the Year award, which we call SIOTI, and our Satellite Technology of the Year, which we call STOTI, and Startup Space. It's great to see everybody here. There is a real energy in our community. This is a wonderful industry to be a part of, and we know that this industry will play a vital role in solving some of the major global issues, such as climate change and others going forward. The pace of change in our industry right now is a sight to behold. We are seeing the satellite industry come into its own now, and the 2020s will be a pivotal decade for everybody involved in satellite. On that note, our March edition of Via Satellite, and which I hope you will check out, is fast becoming a celebration of our industry. In addition to the in-depth write-ups of our nominees for Satellite Executive of the Year and Satellite Technology of the Year, we also unveil our 10 hottest companies in satellite. And last year, we introduced a new feature celebrating women in satellite, where we put the spotlight on some of the most inspiring women in our industry. It's not difficult to find the awe-inspiring companies and individuals in satellite, and we're honored to be able to shine a light on them. The celebration of our industry now continues with our Satellite Executive and Satellite Technology of the Year awards. The Satellite Executive of the Year nominees are once again among an elite pool of executives making a difference. It is a testament to the richness and diversity of our industry that we have a lot of first-time nominees and many different sectors represented. This group has made a huge impact, not just in 2022, but in years previously. Our Satellite Technology of the Year award recognizes companies and game-changing technologies in our industry. This award, now in its 5th year, also has had the largest amount of submissions we've ever seen. There are so many impressive technology companies here. Narrowing it down is no easy task. Ever since we launched this award, it's been one of the most fiercely contested. It's really no different this time. Whoever and whichever company wins these awards will also know that the public vote will have played a significant part in their success, as we allow the people of the industry to cast their vote on who they feel is the most deserving. The Satellite Show, as we know, has returned bigger than ever. Our industry is at the epicenter of global change as we look to create a prosperous future for the next generations. It is something very dear to all of us. Satellite technology can and will continue to make a difference as this industry now has an increased confidence and a desire to enact change. And again, even in this fractured geopolitical era, we hope that space will once again become a unifying force for humanity going forward. From all of us at Via Satellite, thank you for all that you do and to continue to make this a better world. So, we have a couple of awards to hand out. So, here are the nominees for the Satellite Technology of the Year Award.
With the iPhone 14, Apple enabled life-saving emergency text messaging via satellite on the world's most popular handheld device. To make this difficult satellite-to-cell connection possible, Apple designed and built custom components and specific software and algorithms so that the iPhone 14 antennas can connect to the unique frequencies of satellites. Apple is credited with designing and implementing the texting service on such a widely distributed platform. The iPhone 14 nudged the boulder to build momentum that could develop into significant opportunities for satellite-to-cell technology. Astrocast operates a global IoT network with 14 nanosatellites offering connectivity, asset tracking, telemetry, and telematics for multiple business sectors that require connectivity outside the range of terrestrial networks. The IoT service itself is unique in that it is bidirectional, meaning that Astrocast has the ability to send commands back to assets rather than just receive data, enabling more complex use cases. Atlas Space Operations' proprietary ground software as a service platform, Freedom, automates communication processes, pre-planned satellite passes, and eliminates the need for satellite owners to act as ground station operators. It is entirely cloud-based, utilizing Amazon Web Services and data-driven. Freedom leverages more than 1 billion data points, organized and presented in an upgraded user interface, allowing customers to determine if a pass is a success or a failure, and gain visibility across the entire network. Link solved the Doppler shift and timing problems involved with connecting a satellite directly to an unmodified cell phone, creating a 3GPP compliant service that tricks cell phones into thinking that Link satellites are actually ground-based mobile towers. The company is targeting up to 4 billion potential customers around the world without access to connectivity and has already demonstrated its technology works, with active testing in 17 countries on all 7 continents. As Russia's military gathered on Ukraine's border last February, Maxar's satellites stood ready to collect a flood of time-stamped imagery and visual intelligence data that would underpin reporting by nearly all global news outlets. This allowed journalists to both report military activity with greater accuracy and support allegations of war crimes with visual data. Maxar's imagery is recognized for raising public awareness of the war in Ukraine, elevating the value of satellite visual data in a humanitarian crisis event. Speedcast TrueBeam solution is a network optimization solution that acts as a unique centralized capacity and load balancing system. TrueBeam reevaluates a user's network loadings once per hour, every hour of every day of the week, and makes automated and intelligent network changes to enable more efficient bandwidth use. It gives Speedcast customers in the maritime world the ability to seamlessly maintain communications while moving in and out of satellite beam's coverage area. Congratulations to the 2022 Satellite Technology of the Year nominees.
I was going to ask you to give them a round of applause, but you beat me to it. But what a great set of nominees for this award, and so many other great companies involved in the process. But there can only be one winner, and the winner is, drum roll please, Apple.
thank you, Mark. Thank you for everyone here, the community at large. This is one of the rare moments that Apple has been engaging this community. And I'd like to really kind of just have a few remarks about this award and what it means to Apple. I have the good fortune of being here with you all to accept this award for emergency satellite via SOS. Emergency SOS via satellite. But nothing happens at Apple without collaboration across teams, and there are so many who are key to worked on this. From the engineers who built the core network that links our satellites to our users, to the field testers and the QA teams around the world who made sure that the system would work, to the people who secured the regulatory approvals we needed to launch in 6 countries to date, and we just announced last week 6 more countries that will be launching later this month. All of these people brought this system together. At Apple, we're always pushing the limits of what our devices can do. We began this project with an incredible foundation in iPhone, one of the greatest communications tools and devices ever made. People take their iPhones everywhere, including to places where there is no connectivity. Our goal was to provide our users a peace of mind whenever and wherever they find themselves without cellular or Wi-Fi coverage, but are in need of help. In doing so, we created a safety tool in the iPhone 14 family that's as essential as a first aid kit. Emergency SOS via satellite is a tremendous technical achievement. We redesigned the bulky satellite antennas that we're all used to and integrated into a sleek device that fits in your pocket. It's also the first time that anyone has integrated a two-way satellite technology in such a mainstream way. This is a big step for the industry, and we're excited to bring it to even more people around the world as we continue to expand the service. But what's really rewarding for me and for everyone at Apple is being able to be part of something that saves lives. We've connected people with the help they need when they needed it most. From the couple in Los Angeles whose car fell down in a canyon, to the man in Alaska stranded on a snow machine. I cannot thank enough the call center dispatchers and the first responders who have come to the rescue. It has been a privilege to be part of this journey that has such a profound impact on our users' lives. So thank you to Via Satellite and this space community for this recognition. Thank you too to our amazing partners, Globalstar, and thank you to everyone who came together to make this life-saving technology possible. Thank you.
Congratulations. Fantastic. That was so great. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for that, Mike. And now let's our Satellite Executive of the Year award. Let's meet the nominees.
Melanie Strickland, a co-founder and CEO of space situational awareness company Slingshot Aerospace. Strickland has led the company through a period of rapid expansion since taking on the role of CEO in February 2021, including a blockbuster 2022. With 2 acquisitions and 2 funding rounds, Strickland is a U.S. veteran with a 21-year career in the Air Force. As a female CEO in a male-dominated industry, Strickland speaks out about encouraging women and diversity. Slingshot Aerospace is part of the Space Workforce 2030 pledge to improve diversity in the workforce. When Rocket Lab announced plans to go public in 2020, founder and CEO Peter Beck unveiled his vision to make Rocket Lab more than just a small sat launcher. Beck planned to transform the company into an end-to-end space company, building satellites and space hardware as well. The company now has a robust space systems business and landed impressive contracts in 2022, including the MDA subcontractor deal for Globalstar satellite buses. Beck is still pushing the company into new territory, as Rocket Lab just inaugurated its second space launch complex, located in Virginia. and can now launch from 2 hemispheres. Dirk Wallinger founded York Space Systems in 2012 with the goal to improve spacecraft affordability and reliability. In the last 2 years, York has been awarded major government contracts, including 3 from Space Development Agency and a $382 million contract to build 42 satellites for the Trans-1 transport layer of the SDA's constellation. Outside of his role as an executive, Wallinger served as an advisor and a mentor in the space community and speaks at local elementary schools in economically challenged neighborhoods, sharing his own personal story. Led by CEO Brian O'Toole, Black Sky has had a seismic year, including securing the largest deal in its history and seeing strong revenue growth. Black Sky's highlight of 2022 was its selection by the National Reconnaissance Office for the largest commercial imagery contract that the NRO has ever issued. O'Toole has built Black Sky into a trusted provider of imagery and on-demand real-time dynamic monitoring for the defense and intelligence sector. There were times when the future looked bleak for Globalstar, but Chairman Jay Monroe has confounded doubters in spectacular fashion. In 2022, Globalstar may have done the deal of the year in terms of significance when it announced that it would be the satellite provider of Apple's emergency messaging via satellite for the iPhone 14. Monroe is credited with starting the conversation with Apple that led to the partnership. This is the definition of executive vision. Planet has built itself into one of the leading commercial providers of Earth observation imagery. CEO Will Marshall's leadership is validated by Planet's spot on the NRO contract and the company's partnerships with commercial organizations. Planet now has more than 800 customers and signed a diverse array of partnerships in 2022, like its work with Microsoft to apply AI technology and satellite data to support African climate adaptation projects. Marshall has recognized the goal he set in 2010 to use data from space to help life on Earth. Congratulations to all the 2022 Satellite Executive of the Year nominees.
So many great nominees this year. So difficult to pick just one. But we can only have one winner. And the winner is Melanie Strickland, Slingshot Aerospace.
Got my iPhone here, but it's not a 14. So, got to run to the store after this quickly. Love what you guys did. Congratulations, Apple. I am humbled to accept this award today on behalf of Slingshot, for sure, on behalf of all of the sling shooters, as we call them, who have made our capabilities possible and who have extended those capabilities around the world in an operational sense. And all of those partners and collaborators that are in this room and those using the technology today to deconflict their spaceflight operations on orbit. So it is an honor. I started as a little bitty girl in West Texas, and there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity there in that tiny little town of 1,500. But there was a night sky that was brilliant. It was, you could reach out and touch the Milky Way most nights. And my dad taught me the difference between a satellite and an airplane. And then I fell in love with airplanes. So in 1996, I'll date myself, I actually joined the United States Air Force. I couldn't think of a better way to cultivate my dreams of flight and space into a career. I have zero regrets, but in 2017, I decided to start this company. And this company has just done remarkable things. We at Slingshot, we're here to chart a new course for humanity by building the technologies and the awareness capabilities to ensure space remains safe now and a secure gateway of discovery and continues to be the core tenet of our global economy for generations to come. Our team works hard every single day to contribute to the international efforts to protect the vitality and sustainability of our space operating domain. And we are fueled by the acceptance and the success provided from and to our customers around the globe. Ensuring safety of current and future satellites in orbit is paramount in maintaining space as a safe operating environment. This is why we made the decision a few months ago to offer one of our products, Slingshot Beacon, for free, so that all space operators around the world could coordinate, could communicate, and deconflict their spaceflight risk with one another in a decentralized manner, and it is working today. We have over 90% of satellites on orbit leveraging Slingshot Beacon to deconflict their safety on orbit today. We've made great strides towards this goal, made possible not only by Slingshot Beacon, but also our global sensor network that we recently acquired from Numerica Space, and by integrating the world's most authoritative database on satellites and launch capabilities, SARA So very active last 360 days at Slingshot, but we have to do more. We have to do more to make the operating domain safer and more sustainable as we continue to experience this amazing space renaissance that we're all experiencing today. Particularly as our reliance on space continues to improve life here on Earth, it's imperative to understand the vulnerabilities of that domain and to take action today. That means bringing in more and more diverse people into your companies and into the industry at large. We have to find more creative solutions and more innovation towards the problems that we face. At Slingshot, we have done just that, and I'm so proud of our team's work. But we can't achieve our vision alone. I want to thank our customers, our partners, our collaborators around the world for their support. All of us in this room, we have to work together to advance the cause of space sustainability now and for future generations. And we must keep inspiring women and girls to rise to the boardroom and beyond. Thank you to my amazing team of slingshooters, and thank you via satellite for this recognition. Thank you.
Congratulations to all our winners. It was one of the most competitive years yet. Let's give all the nominees and winners one final round of applause. Well, that concludes the award ceremony for this year. A big congratulations to everyone involved. Thank you again for all of your support and making this industry a great industry to be a part of. We hope you enjoy the rest of the show, and thank you very much.